So are we in top 10 or top 15 essential records to have in your collection?
This is the dilemma, right? I mean, you can say, oh, here's top 10 records that you have to have. And it's like, you're going to miss something. You're not going to have something. And somebody's like, well, what about this? And so this is the dilemma of
So if we do 15, then we have it covered, right?
Yeah, but the problem with doing the 15 that we've talked about is that, like, kind of the 5 don't really fall into, like...
They're not at that level.
It's not that they're not at that level. They're just square pegs, and we're trying to work a round hole here, sir.
Tranquilo. Shine.
So what are we doing today, Lance? What are we doing?
I think we're going to go through our take on the top 10, 15-ish essential classic rock records that I would say pretty much everybody needs to have in their collection.
I mean...
And I'd say pretty much because...
some people don't like classic rock. Some people don't like...
certain things, yeah.
Fresh tomatoes. Some people don't like warm hugs from loving people. What's that about?
No.
Anyway, I don't know.
So are these in a particular order, or what do you think?
I would say in no particular order, these are the top 10 iconic classic rock must-have records for any vinyl enthusiast.
Fair enough.
All right, so
let's do it.
We'll start at one of the biggies, Beatles, Abbey Road.
Abbey Road.
I mean, it's hard when you're talking about the Beatles because the band itself is iconic. Right. Everything that they did is pretty much like well-regarded, well-collected.
So it's like, okay, there's this album, but then there's Sgt. Pepper's, there's the White Album, there's
Magical Mystery Tour, there's
all
Rubber Soul, Revolver. They're all good, man. And so I guess if you're gonna pick one, I landed on Abbey Road. I think it's late.
It's a little more iconic, I think.
Later in their career. Yeah. The album cover itself surpasses all, musical. I mean, it's
like,
been
who doesn't know what this
overly referenced in every Simpsons and all kind, just whatever. So
what are some of, like, the iconic songs on here that...
Well, obviously, the like 1-2 punch of "Come Together" as an opening track on this record, it gets an attention getter. For me, I like Me and Mr. Mustard Seed and some of the other stuff. I mean, this band was not the most serious of all bands. They had a silly side, and I think that some of those songs were fun. And if you watch the recent documentary "Get Back," which is now out on Disney Plus, it's a chance for you to like see how they interacted in a way that we may not have seen before.
Right.
And I thought that was kind of cool. So some of that's exemplified with this album, obviously.
Abbey Road's great.
Let It Be could have been on this one. I mean, there's too many. Moving on. We gotta keep going. This one, I don't think that any collection would be complete without a copy of Dark Side of the Moon.
This is such a quintessential album in the history of classic music, really. It's just absolutely brilliant. There's such deep things in this record, and it just sounds amazing. It's like a journey.
Yeah, I mean, Pink Floyd is one of those bands where I think it's pretty safe to say that pretty much every single album that was ever put out by the band Pink Floyd has some concept behind it. This album is no different. And to take some of these stories and patterns and weave these songs together in a way that it's just so... I mean, think about the people that heard this record in the 70s for the first time. I mean, Can you imagine what it must have felt like to hear Time for the first time, the bells, the alarm clocks ring,
money,
they're hearing money and their use of effects and things like that. I mean, this must have been a mind-altering adventure for people.
Just the vocal work and Gig in the Sky, like
the guitar work,
forget it.
It's a fantastic record all around. Pink Floyd is an iconic band. Again, there's so many records you could put on this list. The Wall.
Yes. Wish You Were
Here.
Animals, all that stuff.
I mean, there's so many great Pink Floyd records, but this is the one that you have to have. Okay. I think this one might be slightly controversial because I think some people may not include the Grateful Dead on their list, but I think you'd be wrong. No, I'm a Deadhead, and I cannot wrap my head around classic rock without including the Grateful Dead, and there's not another more iconic record by the Grateful Dead than American Beauty.
So would you say this is their most like commercially like popular or
if it were not for American Beauty or Working Man's Dead, the Grateful Dead would not have survived in the way that we know them today. That is a clear and researchable fact. They were at the end of their budget. They had been ripped off. They had all of these things happen to them, in the late 60s, and they were not really in a great place to be that progressive, long touring band that we've come to know them as. And Jerry Garcia kind of went back to his roots, went back to his jug band stuff, and all of a sudden, he's putting together these two folk records, and it changed the entire path. No longer was this a band that was limited by their psych rock roots. They were now an Americana band, and I believe American Beauty put them on that path. So,
and a couple standout songs on here. Truckin', obviously.
Box of Rain, Friend of the Devil. Ripple. There's so many great songs on this. Some of the more popular or more successful songs that maybe by today's standards would be Sugar Magnolia. These are songs that have stood the test of time and come out on the other end. Addicts of My Life. This is a song that this is just beautiful craftsmanship when it comes to song creation. So
I can tell you're very passionate.
I just love this record. I love
that's
this record.
a very cool.
And this, to side note, this was a gift, I think, birthday gift from you a couple years ago. I can't remember.
Christmas, I think.
Christmas, maybe right after we first met. Yeah. But it's an American Beauty picture disc, and I especially brought it for this just so you guys can see it. All right, moving on. Keeping it down.
Next up, we got
three. This is four. Oh. Number 4 on our list.
The Doors, self-titled. Oh man, what a breakthrough album. Break on through. Pun intended, I guess. The end.
Light My Fire was, and again, not a song penned by Morrison either. Robbie Krieger wrote that song.
Oh, okay. Crystal Ship. Is cool. There's a lot of. This is amazing. Again,
it quantifies as a psych rock. I think a lot of your 60s stuff will fall into that psych rock category, and I've talked about this. For me, Pink Floyd and Jimi Hendrix and the Doors and some of these bands, they're classic rock to me. Yes, they
do fall under that psych umbrella, but they kind of surpassed that, right?
And again, psych rock to a certain extent was popular rock in the mid 60s, you know what I mean, to a certain extent. So yes, there were other bands that went deeper, but the Doors, I don't think you can get a more iconic record by the Doors than their self-titled record.
Yeah, and all their stuff is great.
Yeah, Morrison Hotel. I'm a big fan of Soft Parade. The Doors was one of those bands that I went really hard into when I was in high school, and I had all their CDs and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So I really enjoy the Doors.
I listened to them in high school too.
This is the one.
So good. Yeah.
This is the one. All right, moving on. This is a modern pressing of this record, but again, I don't think you start to when you're trying to get a top 10 list like this, it's almost more of you have to include this artist. You have to include this artist.
Right.
And
we kind of have to limit it to one album per artist for the most part, just so there's room, because we could. Yeah. The list would be 200 albums long.
Yeah, Electric Ladyland falls in this category as an iconic record. There's so many great records that that Jimi Hendrix produced in his short career. Band of Gypsies, I love that record. But this is probably the most iconic, right?
You got Foxy Lady, Manic Depression,
Purple
Hey
Haze.
Joe.
This you just it's Hendrix, man. This is what you need. All right, moving on. Maybe not the best copy. This is Solomon's copy actually.
Little Solomon.
The Who. Right?
The Who. Who's next? So this is the soundtrack to all those CSI shows, right? Okay.
Is that right?
Never mind.
Okay.
So every CSI, we might cut this.
Do they do Bob O'Reilly?
No. So all the different CSI, like the original CSI did Who Are You, which is not on here.
Okay.
I think Miami did Bob O'Reilly, and then another one did.
Oh, as their theme music for the show? Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Did,
all right. Yeah.
What's the other one? Teenage
Bargain. Behind Blue Eyes. Won't Get Fooled Again.
Won't Get Fooled Again, yeah.
So, For me, like Tommy maybe, but I feel like Tommy's limited in the sense that it's really about
It's a concept album. There's a lot of music in there that's
extemporaneous to like what
this thing's a banger front to back.
Is a rocking album.
Yeah. You just put this on and it's, I don't know. It's, to me, it's like no other Who album. Like the Who's great, but there's something about, for me, it's something about this album that just really.
Yeah, if I could only have
go front to back and just anytime.
If I could only have one Who album, it would be this one. All right. This is another tough one. We went back and forth. Oh my gosh,
we could pick so many here, and
it's tough. You put Rolling Stones on your list, and you're like, well, we got to have some Rolling Stones. Okay, so which one's it gonna be? Well, it's like,
like I was thinking Sticky Fingers.
I was thinking Sticky Fingers. Beggars Banquet is up there as well. But for me, I think. When it comes down to, it says "Give Me Shelter" on it. That's what it comes down to.
Right.
I mean, like, there's so many great songs on this record, and the album art is fantastic, and it's the weird cake and everything. I mean,
I'm getting hungry.
It's good. I would say "Let It Bleed." You gotta have to have it. It's a little bit harder to find. It's not your most common Stones record, but
they're out there.
It's worth finding.
Yeah,
for sure. All right, again, sticking to
oh my gosh,
gotta have it.
This one's so iconic.
I mean, I don't know if there is a more iconic. I mean, it's hard to even like. This is maybe one of the most iconic classic rock records that's ever been produced. Led Zeppelin's Untitled, or Led Zeppelin, as is affectionately known as 4.
Yeah.
But this has Stairway to Heaven on it, and I think that song alone, is pretty big. But the whole thing kind of
Black Dog is on here.
Yeah, it rips from front to back.
Oh, so good. I mean, if you just need one Zeppelin album, like, you can't go wrong here.
And
but then again, why just have one?
Yeah, why not have them all?
Yeah, there's not that many.
Yeah, 7 or 8.
You can do it.
Yeah, you can do it.
We believe in you.
Mostly. All right, so we are getting that was number 8 of our 10. We're gonna get towards the back end, and this is where things are gonna get sort of more controversial. Okay, so
I don't know if this one's controversial.
You don't think this is? I think this is one that you have to have, but I think there are people that are not a big fan of this band. And here's the thing. Big Lebowski is a great film and all right? But, like, that guy's hatred for the Eagles is unwarranted. I'm kidding. But that was the joke. Oh, I hate the fucking Eagles. Well, you know what? Like, this record is really good. And I kind of like, you listen to Desperado and you listen to, like, some of the soft rock Eagles shit. And you're just like, it's not really for me. But, like, dude, Hotel California.
Alone.
Rips. Yeah. The song itself is just like, it's an epic composition.
It's beautiful.
But like, I think you have to give them credit, and I think this record is a must have.
Honestly, my favorite version of that song is the Hell Freezes Over live.
Really?
One.
Yeah.
I love, like, kind of the Spanish guitar stuff going on in the intro. Yeah. And the crowd doesn't even know what it is, and then they start with the first lick and just they go nuts.
Loses their mind.
They go nuts. But there's other good songs on here too. Wasted Time, of course.
You're getting into some of that softy stuff,
Yeah, but it's still good. What's cool is before they released this album, they released their greatest hits. The blue one with the bird skull on the front.
That was before they released this?
That's before they released this.
Ooh,
that was one of the highest selling albums. And you don't release a greatest hits right in the middle of your career.
Crosby, Stills and Nash did. That's their second record.
And it blew them up. And then this followed that.
So,
and it was
Hotel California is not on their greatest hits?
Not on the first one.
Oh, it's Volume 2, which nobody has that. All right, yeah. So Eagles, man. Sorry, it's on there.
It needs to be on there.
Don't at me, bro. No, or do. Go ahead. I don't give a shit. The Allman Brothers band. We went back and forth on who to include. This is our number 10. We went back and forth on which one to include. I personally like Eat a Peach, and I just think it's like I love the artwork. I think for what the Allman Brothers are and the period of time when that was recorded, it's just maybe the better Allman Brothers. Yeah. But this is the Dickie Betts driven Allman Brothers and Brothers and Sisters.
Yeah.
And it has some of their biggest songs.
I think this album's a little more accessible because it's just one album, and it there's a bunch of songs that people know. Ramblin' Man. It's got Jessica on it. And if you just want to if you're just getting into Allman Brothers, like this is the place to start.
I agree with that.
All their early stuff is outstanding. So it's hard to say, but yeah, if you're just getting into it,
check it out.
This is probably one of the first records I bought on vinyl.
It was an early buy for me too, and I have to agree. It's fantastic. All right, so that's
10 records.
That's our 10 records. We're done. No, we're not done. We are not done at all, sir.
It just keeps going.
This is a problem, okay? Because there are certain like iconic records that are amazing and great to listen to from start to finish, but they maybe they don't reach that level. Maybe they don't reach the level of Hendrix, you know what I mean? Yeah. Guitar God or whatever. But we've got 5 more, and then we both have our
honorable mentions.
Our personal rogue pick.
We suggest you check out.
So we'll do these last ones a little bit quicker. All right. So I think this is almost should have been in the first list. Fleetwood Mac.
That was in the first list.
No, it's not. You couldn't squeeze it in. Only 10, bro. Only 10.
Go get this album if you don't have this album.
It's so good. I mean, it's just so good. And I think a lot of younger people know about this record because some guy drank some cranberry juice while riding a longboard, which is true.
Yeah.
It's absolutely true.
That's the world we live in.
That's the world we live in.
This record actually charted, was it last year?
Yeah, because of a TikTok video.
Because of that.
Yeah. So bully
which is great.
Bully for that guy. He's famous.
Listen to this.
Yeah. Everything is good on this one. And if you like this one, get the Fleetwood Mac record. Well, all right. We're going to confuse people. We'll keep going. All right. Aja. All right.
Aja.
Asia. I think it's Asia.
Steely
Dan's Asia. I think is what it is. Yeah. So,
what's so cool about this album? This might not be for everyone because it is a little like it has kind of a jazzy fusion kind of mix with classic rock. But what's cool about this album is the in the recording studio. They put so much time and effort. This is one of the best mixed, best mastered, best produced albums out there. People use this album, and I'm not just talking about the original master recording, but just the normal press of this, to like show off their high-end stereo systems. It's produced so well.
And I think
like
that's
you can just pull out all the instruments, and it just sounds amazing.
That's one of the reasons why it's on this sort of like addendum list that we're talking about. It's an iconic record, and pretty much everything that Steely Dan did, they took that kind of care with it. They really did care about their production value. The production really shines on Asia. But I would also say, Can't Buy a Thrill?
Yep, Can't Buy a Thrill.
It's also up there, and could have been switched in with this one, but I think this is the more iconic record. So we're gonna keep moving. Boston.
Is this Boston's greatest hits?
Boston. Yeah, everything is on.
It feels like it, right?
This is another record that is just known for its production value. Tom Scholz is Boston. He's still in a lab somewhere, ostensibly working on the 7th or 8th Boston record that's still due to come out. He's still alive.
Right.
Anyway, he had actually produced most of this record in his basement, like playing most of the instruments by himself, and was like pretty much done with it. Sent the demos off to the record company. Record company was like, "This is great. We love it. Come record it in our studio." And he's like, "Why?" And so a lot of the stuff on this record, even though he was telling them that he was re-recording sections and doing all this other work, most of it's the original demos from that first album.
And like the whole first side of it, almost everyone will recognize because it's so iconic. And even like, I don't know, the whole thing is just, it's amazing from front to back.
I want somebody to do a documentary about this band because this band was like the biggest thing in the 70s. Like it's one of the, and I think, and some of the 70s stuff kind of like, they went from playing, folk artists playing small rooms to like, Dylan playing big theaters, and then the Dead were playing, towards the 60s and 70s, they were playing some big rooms. But by the 70s, you had Zeppelin and Rush and some of these guys playing stadiums to like 50, 60,000 people, 70,000 people. And that's the world that Boston came up in. Yeah. And they were playing some big stadium shows, man. So I think a documentary is
Go get it.
You
can find it.
It's good.
Pretty reasonably. It's around.
All right, this one you just have to have it. You got to have it. Toto's 4.
Yeah, this used to be super easy to get. You could just pick it up anywhere, and but yeah, it's becoming more and rare. Like 'cause everybody has to have their copy of it. What's so special about Toto?
Well, it's got Africa on it. First of all, gotta have that song on it.
Can you sing a few bars?
No, but you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, I know.
And then I think Rosanna. Is fantastic. Again, if you're trying to like test your stereo out, playing Rosanna is a good way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta have it. It's just a great record. All right, we're getting down to the last bit.
I absolutely love this one.
This is another one.
This is one of my favorite. The guitar work on this album,
super amazing production value.
It just blows me away. Sultans of Swing is my favorite song of theirs.
Down to the Waterline? Is that down by the Waterline? I mean,
some of it's like super chill and just like good.
Again, we're looking at some of these rock albums that almost are incorporating certain elements of jazz because when they were doing that, they were taking it up a notch. They were adding different instrumentation. They were adding different layers. Now we're on 16, 32 track recording. Like they were doing a lot more to get your attention towards the late 70s. And I think this is an album that's very indicative. And if you like that sort of thing, you should have this record.
Yeah, this is a great.
So that's our 15, and we both have sort of a little rogue record. Why don't you go first with yours?
All right. So we've technically already talked about this band, but we technically haven't.
It's not the same band.
This is Fleetwood Mac, Peter Green's Fleetwood Mac. So Peter Green was one of the founding members of Fleetwood Mac, and this is a blues album. This is nothing like Rumors. I think the only similarity is Fleetwood and Mac.
The person, a couple of guys, yeah.
On bass and drum.
Fleetwood Mac is another interesting and sort of rich rabbit hole that you can go down. But if you go deep enough down that rabbit hole, you'll find the before times, and that's when they were a blues band.
Yeah, the Peter Green stuff is...
Didn't Peter Green play with the Blues Breakers and stuff too?
Yeah, he was in John and Mayall Blues Breakers. He actually took over when Eric Clapton just disappeared one day. So there's a really interesting history with Eric Clapton and the originators of Fleetwood Mac and all that kind of British blues scene.
I would say that finding an original pressing of this record would be difficult, but they are out there. Yeah. This is a repress, and it's
a modern repress,
widely repressed. So
yeah, I think so. Yeah,
and there's a bunch of different comps now that have come out more recently
that has that kind of
early
music.
Fleetwood Mac stuff.
Yeah,
so I would.
So
look
this has like Shake Your Money Maker, and I don't know. It's just all good. Oh my gosh, No Place to Go, Cold Black Night. Yeah. So if you find this, check it out. You will be rewarded. Yes, you will. What do you got there?
The Kinks, Power Man, Lola versus, and the Money Go Round.
The Kinks have a lot of records. Where does this kind of fit into the whole?
I believe
Kinks-averse
came out in 70. This
Did
is
I just say that Kinks-averse
70. This is the 2020 repress that was like the 50th anniversary. So yeah, 1970, Nick. Jesus. All right.
That's hard.
So this Kinks record has several iconic songs that you do know on it. It's the album with Lola on it. It's the album with 8 Man on it. But the album itself is a concept album, and it's a searing indictment of the recording industry. And if you know anything about the history of the Kinks were very much a part of the English rock invasion. So when you're talking about the Rolling Stones, the Beatles, and the Who and all these English bands coming over and dominating the American market, the Kinks were very much on that first wave.
Yep.
And they had an issue with a booking agent who reported them to a panel that panel was in charge of giving out the visas for foreign touring bands. And so they pissed off this one guy, and this one guy got him banned from touring in the United States from like the mid 60s until about 1970s. Yeah. So the entire time, like the Kinks would have been they would have been as big as the Stones, but they lost that opportunity, and they're fucking huge in Australia for that reason. But that's a whole different story. But this record came out right as they sort of said they were sorry, and they wrote a letter to the panel, and they said we'll never do it again or whatever. And they came back, and this record was critically acclaimed, and it kind of gave the Kinks a new footing and a new career path in the 70s in America. But this record is fantastic, and it's one of those ones that like you don't really know that you need it until you listen to it.
So would you say if I was going to pick up a Kinks record, this is the one I should pick up.
I would say this is the only one you really need. I mean, there's some really cool early Kinks stuff from like the early '60s, like that's like
you really got me going.
Yeah, like that stuff. Early good stuff. But like this record is like just a joy to listen to from start to finish.
Nice.
All right, guys, that's our top 10, 15, 17 or so records, classic rock records you must have in your collection.
Yeah. Go out and find these. You won't be sorry.
We're going to do probably a series of these we're looking at of doing different genres and just maybe, top 10 funk records, top 10 punk records, top 10 metal records, some of those different genres so that maybe we can, just tell you what you got to have on your shelf. All right, guys. Until next time.
Thanks.
Tranquilo. Shine.